All right, baby. WSME SM Enlightenment Radio. Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, we got a brand new thing happening right here. Brand new show. If you don't already know, no, it's not a freestyle. I ain't gonna do it.
I'm waiting for you to do the freestyle.
You never know. Yeah, I'm unpredictable. You know, I can always surprise you. You know what I'm saying? Just like when you ain't expecting it, you can get a rhyme out of me. The show ain't about me tonight, ladies and gentlemen. This is Michelle Turner's The Collective, ladies and gentlemen. And
yes.
What's going on, Michelle?
Hey, Great Doc P. So glad that we could do this together.
Yeah.
I'd like to call this special edition of The Collective Current, because we're going to kick it about all the pertinent news for the week.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So we've got, this has been a heavyweight week, Doc.
It's been a hell of a week.
You had the debate.
Woo.
You had Tulsa. You had one of the Breonna Taylor jurors from the grand jury say he's not telling the truth, i.e. the Attorney General of Kentucky. Wow. I mean, it's so much. This is just when you think that you have heard it all, this week came along. Wow. This week came along. And so what surprised me the most about the debate was the woman who moderated it is African American. Her name is Kirsten Welker. And if you watch MSNBC or you do any of the press conferences on C-SPAN, you'll see her face. Right. And she has been a White House correspondent, I don't know, maybe 8-9 years. But she's the person who moderated the debate last night.
Interesting.
She's the first Black woman in 30 years to do so.
How did they choose these people to do that? Do you know?
Well, I think it's divided up amongst the networks. So each network chooses a different correspondent. So I think the first woman came from print journalism, which was USA Today. And she was is still a very, I can't remember her name, but she's a very well-respected journalist. And that's why they chose her. Okay. But she just could not get control of Donald J. Trump.
That was chaotic because when these cats was going at it, boy, it was
something. And then, last night he tried to make it seem as if he was calm. Yeah. And he wanted to talk to Biden about his son and the illegal money that he had received from the Ukraine, and Hunter Biden had done all these things. But at the same time, he didn't talk anything about a plan.
Right. And he never does.
He never does.
No. It's just, a lot of big ideas. I mean, homie, he is like, the biggest hype man.
He is. He should be in the rap industry.
Yeah. He studied Flav very well.
Very well.
You know what I'm saying? And he said, I'm going to take this to another level.
And he has.
Yeah.
He really has. He actually has people believing that you can beat coronavirus. He has people believing that this thing is turning the corner. Yeah. And that we are going to beat this before we even get a vaccine, which he's been rushing.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable. Like I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. He says one thing and he'll say it on tape. And then somebody will say to him, well, Mr. President, yesterday you said A, B, and C. And he's like, no, I didn't. Straight up. I didn't say that.
You don't get
you on tape.
You don't get more gangster than that.
That's true.
You don't get more gangster than that. It's like, yo, he's like Debo in the whole country. Like, what bike? What rights? What rights? What you talking about? Those are mine, ain't your rights. Taking your rights. Punk. Now what?
Just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And Welker called him out. She said, what are you going to do to help the people, the everyday people, the American public? Why is this package stalled in Congress? What are you going to do about this COVID-19 relief package? And he says, Nancy Pelosi doesn't want it.
Of course.
She doesn't want it. She doesn't want to approve it. And Welker says to him, deadpan and dead on, but you're the president. You're the president, which reminds me of the scene in Coming to America where she turns to the king and says, but I thought you were the king.
Whoa, exactly.
So I think for Trump supporters,
right,
they probably got the Trump that they wanted to see. And maybe some of those who were on the fence,
right,
may have decided to vote for him based on his performance last night. But I don't think at this point, Doc, it makes a difference, because I think people have decided who they're going to vote for.
Yeah. I mean, the writing's on the wall.
Yeah. I've had friends who are very much active, political, following this stuff every day. And one of the first things they say is, I can't wait for this to be over.
I can't wait for it to be over.
I am.
To me, the whole climate of everything is just, it's just so like, I feel like just anything could pop off any minute right now.
Yeah. And I think that's, a little sidebar here. I was having a discussion with somebody and they said, oh, I just want 2020 to be over. Let's just go into 2021. I said, screech the brakes on that. Because if this is 2020, I'm not so sure that 2021 is going to be something we want to witness.
As a Puffy going to come through and say, this is the remix. In the new year, you're going to be dancing around and say, this is the remix. We're going to get the remix in 2021. Oh, man.
It's one of those things where, which I don't understand either, why people think that Biden is a socialist because he wants to keep the Affordable Care Act. I don't understand that.
Well, it's just that, that's just the way that they're like phrasing stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's there's so much mind manipulation that you see, and it's done in the form of like slogans and stuff like that. Like, I see like this same type of thing, damn that Johnny Cochran, he taught them a lot. You know what I'm saying? If it don't fit, you must have quit, and then you turn that into like make America great again, over and over again, and lock her up. It's the same. It's coming from the same type of energy. You know what I'm saying? It just, and the debate itself was this week it was a lot calmer. I know that you was
it was calmer.
Point out it, like Trump was like trying to get some hits in regarding the crime bill. Right?
Yeah. Well, it was funny because he's standing there, and this was the portion of the debate that focused on race, right?
Yeah.
Because Trump was saying he wasn't a racist. He had done so much for Black people since Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like, somebody should tell him, maybe that's not the way you want to go. Maybe that's not the way you want to go.
You should be saying that like Lyndon B, maybe. Lyndon B, like, come on. Like,
Rights Act. Heck, even Ronald Reagan signed Martin Luther King's birthday into a holiday.
Yeah. See, Well, see, that's because he's not too smart.
No, he's not. He's not. And he's screaming. Well, he wasn't screaming at Biden, but he was doing all this. And he's saying to Biden, you had 8 years, and you put thousands and thousands of young black men in jail. How could you do that? You had 8 years to fix it. You had 8 years to fix it. Biden shook his head, put his head down like this, shook his head. Then he gave him the side eye and said, we had a Republican Congress. I was like, whoa! Whoa! That was a hit. Mm-hmm. It was a hit. And Biden, for the record, has talked about that was not, maybe in hindsight, right, it was not the thing to do. But given the time, what was going on in the country with drugs and young black men, and how, I don't know if you were here, Doc, and how, crack had really, truly taken over the community.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I saw it where I was at. I mean, I was in New York at the time, and that seemed to be ground zero.
Yeah. But the reason why I said that was there was at one time some young boys, and that's why I'm saying I don't know if you were here, but there were some young boys who decided they were going to have a shootout downtown on the courthouse steps.
Wow.
On the courthouse steps. It's like, y'all have truly lost your mind. And my mom, who, spent a good portion of her life in the public schools as a teacher, administrator, all of that, said to me, Michelle, you have to realize what we were up against as educators. You had kids coming in the building with guns. You had kids coming in the building with drugs on them. And those outside influences, even though we had to control the school, they were there. And so in her hindsight, she says Biden and people like him had no choice because the communities were screaming, we've got to do something.
Right. Yeah. Everything was so out of control.
It's so out of control.
Yeah.
But
it was Reagan and them that brought the crack in.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It was, the whole Noriega piece, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody thought that they could be Tony Montana.
And that's why the whole Scarface thing was so iconic.
It's still legendary.
Yeah, it's still because, and a lot of fools is looking at that and idolizing that, and that's, they don't pay attention to the end, that he don't live, and that
this girl was kind of messed up, and
girl was real messed up. Well, he was real messed up. It's a movie about a bunch of flawed characters. I mean, but
nobody, like you said, nobody ever takes in the moral of the story. I think that's primarily because they feel like it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen. I got more sense than that. And truth be told, no, you don't.
Right.
Because if you had sense, you wouldn't be doing that. But anyway.
Yeah. But how about
our congressperson had a debate last night?
Yeah.
Rosa DeLauro.
Shout out to Rosa DeLauro. Shout out to Connecticut.
Yeah. It was interesting in the respect that this woman, Margaret Stryker, has been running a lot of ads. There was Dr. Somebody from the Green Party who I had never heard of before. And, I will say, in a little sidebar here, I will say that when I was a reporter in the late 80s and early 90s, the Green Party was an idea at the time whose time had come.
Right.
Independent thinking, looking at climate change, looking at three strikes law, which is Biden's law.
Yeah.
Thinking about education, all those things. And then they kind of just like shriveled up because of their own infighting. So now, they're trying to claw their way back. But I think what Ms. Stryker and the doctor, I'm sorry, I don't have his name, have to remember is that whether you like Rosa or not, whether you think she's a career politician or not, she goes through this county. Yeah. She does not stay in New Haven. She does not stay on the shoreline. She goes to Waterbury. She goes and sits in those schools. She talks to different people on the street. She goes into the public libraries.
Yeah.
She's one of the very few Congress people, and this is not to pitch her, this is just what I observe.
Yeah.
But she's one of the Congress people who is in touch with her community. And good, bad, and different, she might vote for some stuff that we don't like. And she may not vote always the way that we want her to.
Yeah.
But she's out in this community. And everybody, love or hate her, they do respect her. And that's tough, and for her to come in, this Margaret Stryker, you're out of state, so you don't see the commercials.
Right. Okay.
But she's got commercials. And one of the first things she says is that, and I'm thinking to myself, if this is the worst a politician can do, then we doing all right. She goes through this whole story about Rosa DeLauro having given an apartment to a congressperson so that her husband could get government contracts. Now, that may be true. I don't know. I've never heard of it.
But
I've never seen it.
So what? That's just pulling a little string,
But Doc, compared to other politicians, it's lightweight.
Right. It is. It is. And especially compared to like what's going on in a bigger scale with a lot of these. Jeez.
Right.
Cat's got bank accounts all over the place. You know what I mean?
He ain't paid no taxes. And so we're like, okay, so if that's the worst thing she's done, I think we can live with that as a community. We may not like it.
Right.
But it is what it is. And Rosa's commercials go on to say that this Margaret Stryker is a slumlord in New York City to the tune of $1 million in fines.
Nice.
And may be responsible or has been accused of being responsible for one of her tenants' deaths. So it's like, you need to go back to the shoreline.
She got bodies? She got bodies on her?
Got bodies on her as a landlord. Check that. So, it's like, and watching their debate last night, she tried to call Rosa out in not supporting the Italian American community in New Haven. And I'm like, and she said something in Italian, and Rosa looked at her like, are you kidding me? And she told her, she said, I'm from an immigrant family.
Yeah.
I'm from Worcester Square. So what are you talking about, lady? And I was like, at that point, I was like, okay, all right, I'm done. I don't think I need to watch this. Because if that's all you got, okay, so half of the city is mad at each other over this Columbus statue.
Right.
A lot of people are upset. And, the Italians are upset. The indigenous folks who live in the community are upset. Black folk are upset.
Oh boy.
Latinos don't like it. So, everybody has an opinion on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the statue's not there. It's gone. And I doubt very seriously if they're going to put it back up. So it's sort of a moot point. I think the most beautiful thing out of all of it was that the indigenous folks here in Connecticut went down there with some sage and cleaned it out. They burned sage and did a whole cleansing ritual.
Oh, wow.
A whole cleansing ritual around that statue being gone. So, I think this person who is not from Connecticut has to realize, yes, Rosa's been in office a real long time, probably 30 plus years. Okay.
Yeah.
But she has the community's trust. And you're going to have to be somebody to really come in and really have a plan and not just knock Rosa, but really truly have a plan as to what you'd like to see happen in New Haven County in the upcoming century, in this century.
Yeah.
And then maybe you got a chance. But if you're going to come in here and accuse her of, not trying to be Italian and hiding and all, not going to work. Not going to work.
That's how she was trying to disconnect her.
Yeah.
From her own community, and that's what, it's a tactic,
It is a tactic.
It's a crazy tactic,
Yeah, but she need to know that ain't going to work in New Haven. It's just not. Rosa, for all the people that support Rosa across the board in all of those named communities, it's not going to work.
So speaking of tactics, what do you think of Biden's tactic? Calling on Barry, yo! So Barry, yo!
Well, you should have known Barry was coming.
He's coming.
Should have known he was going to come.
We was just waiting for the right time.
Yeah. Waiting for the right time. And, I'm just sorry. This was one of his best campaign speeches yet, I think.
Yeah.
Because he talks a lot of junk. And it seemed like he had been waiting a long time to talk junk.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we're ready. Let's go.
Yeah.
I
hope he pop up again somewhere.
Oh yeah, he's out here now.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be out here for the next few days because
he needs to just pop up places now and just be relentless. Until we just carry this whole thing home, just be relentless and just be everywhere and be like, what?
Yeah.
You didn't think you was gonna see me? Be like, I'm the old dirty up in this. You thought you wasn't gonna see me?
I'm the old DB.
That's right.
I'm back. He had the best two lines, though.
Yeah.
The best two lines. He said, imagine if I had a Chinese bank account, an alleged secret Chinese bank account. Fox News wouldn't have let that rest. He said they would have been calling me Beijing Barry.
Word.
It was like, oh.
Beijing Barry.
Beijing Barry. Excuse me. And I'm sorry that he did not, I'm sorry he didn't have a crowd.
Right. Yeah.
The rally was done with people sitting in their cars. So you had to really listen because they encouraged people to blow their horns every time he said something they agreed with. So the cars were pretty cool. That was a cool one, Yeah.
And he like I said, I mean, I just hope that he just keeps on coming out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think he will. The question is, what the question is?
What's the question?
Whether the first lady's gonna show up.
Oh.
Whether Mrs. Obama's gonna come out.
She might be the secret weapon.
I think she is.
Because because there's an opportunity for her to pop up somewhere.
Yeah.
And just be on some other total different stuff.
Oh yeah, because she's really allowed to talk junk now.
Yeah. And she can really, really stick the screws in.
Well, hey, she's South Side Chicago, baby, and they don't play. So if she got to get you, she'll get you. You know, don't let that Princeton degree fool you.
You know, we're going to do
outside in there.
We're gonna bounce to a break.
Okay.
For the audio, and then regroup and come back because we got some other stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. It's the collective. All right, Michelle Turner in the house. And hey, we're just having a good time, baby.
We're having a ball.
Stick and Stay Mo is on the way. WSME SM Enlightenment Radio, baby. Yeah. Yeah. WSME SM Enlightenment Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. It's the collective. All right. Yeah. Michelle Turner in the house. WSME SM Enlightenment Radio. Where positivity is everything, baby. All right. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
And that's what we need. We got to do what we can to try to stay positive in these not so positive times. Because negativity.
So, okay. Speaking of positive, depending on your take on things, it has been said that Ruth Bader Ginsburg sent the fly to land on Vincent's head. Okay?
Yeah.
When 45 got COVID, it was said that she argued her first successful case to God.
Nice.
So now it has been announced this week.
Okay.
That Rush Limbaugh has lung cancer and it is terminal.
Wow.
So I don't know who they're going to put that on. But I will say, Godspeed to Rush.
Yeah.
You know, of course, you don't want to wish death on anyone. However,
take a good look at him now.
Take a good look at him. And just, I remember very distinctly when his show was really climbing and he was starting to make all this ridiculous money.
Yeah.
And I was very upset with the National Association of Broadcasters because they had decided to honor him. And I couldn't wrap my mind around it, and I still couldn't. Because
rewarding hate, you know?
Yeah. You know, it's one thing for people to have different opinions. And I've gotten to the stage in my life where I could probably sit with a Klansman. Of course, there's a sheriff in the room. But I could sit with a Klansman because I really want to find out what makes you think that hate is okay. I'm really at that stage in my life after living through COVID so far, you know, and hearing all these different things about, you know, Doc, we all as Black people, as a community, have been hearing all this hate-filled stuff all our lives.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
always been there. It's always been there.
Always been there. And, you know, and we've had to even live with systemic racism.
Oh, hell yeah.
So for this man, I mean, I guess it should be no surprise that he made a gazillion dollars off racism and calling it conservative politics.
Yeah.
And I had heard, which is crazy to me, but I did read it a few places, that while he was talking all this junk and, you know, all this hate against gays, he had Elton John play at his wedding. So, and for Elton John to accept also is another thing.
Yeah.
But I you know, I know that money talks and everything else walks.
Yeah, and right? I was thinking that, and you said it. I was literally thinking that, and you said it. So
money talks and everything else
I'm sure anybody else listening or watching thought the same thing at the same time.
But his money's not going to help him now. And, you know, he got a lot to answer for.
Yeah.
He got a lot to answer for. You know, you decided that this was how you were going to make your money off this beast, off this thing called racism, sexism, gender bias, and call it conservative politics. And then when he accepted this award from the NAB all those years ago, he said, well, you know, my audience knows I'm not serious. And this is entertainment. But, you know, at whose cost was it entertainment?
Yeah.
Really?
You know, damn entertainment. You know, they know exactly what they're doing.
Not only did he know exactly what he was doing, he knew who his demographic was. And he played to that demographic. And so now he has to answer. You know, because as it stands now, as far as I know, there's no cure for lung cancer. So if he's terminal, it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen in the next few months. And when I initially saw this story and thought about using it, my first reaction was, I'm just going to leave it there. You know, just say Rush Limbaugh has terminal lung cancer, and I'm going to leave it right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know, hey, you know, as people like to say, we send out our thoughts and prayers.
Yeah. And I hope that his family can find some kind of comfort.
Yeah.
You know, because any type of cancer is hard on a family. It's hard on people. You know, it's hard on the respective community that knows and loves you. So, you know,
anytime you go before you're supposed to go, it's devastating. So,
yeah. Well, you know, the other thing is too, as I'm sitting here saying this, you know, it is always said that we as a community are quick to forgive.
Yeah.
You know, we're always the ones that are very quick to forgive.
Well, I mean, because we're original people, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, closer to the essence, and the essence is good. The essence is always good, you know, so why not forgive? You know, it's okay. It's okay because, you know, we're bigger. We're always bigger. We're always bigger, you know. It's just that, you know, something has to be done about people just like, you know, just having a way.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. You know, I'm sure you were taught by your mom, just like I was by mine. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say it.
Right.
Keep it to yourself. But, you know, and the interesting thing is he and Glenn Beck are almost of the same school. And I worked for Glenn Beck. He used to be in KC 101.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? The Glenn and Pat show years ago at KC 101. Yeah. They were the morning team, and they were competing with Chaz and AJ at PLR. And when I tell you that even though, you know, most of the people that worked around him when he left WELI,
right,
like, oh, well, you know, he was an alcoholic. I'm like, that's crap. Glenn was mean when he was at work. Now, if he was drinking at work, he was still mean. He was mean to all of us. Yeah, you know, nobody got a pass. And that's mean,
why. But mean in what way though? Like just like disrespectful mean, or just like in a bad crabby ass mood all the time mean?
No, like disrespectful mean. Like they would call people at home at 11 o'clock at night and say, Glenn wants you to be in at 8 o'clock in the morning because he has something for you to do.
Nice.
You better be there or else. You know, and then people would get there, and he wasn't there. But he knew about this stuff. You know, he knew about it. And he thought it was funny. That's mean. You know, and when you're in a position of power and, you know, my job is on the line and somebody who says, yeah, Glenn said, and then he doesn't stop it. It's almost like Trump. He doesn't stop it. He doesn't say, you know, I don't know who's doing this, but they shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
You know, I mean, he did all kinds of stuff. You know, he would come into the newsroom. Cat had zero news experience. Zero. And he was coming in and telling us, you should be writing more about the shoreline because that's where our money is. Our money's not New Haven, even though that's our city of license, right?
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, granted, that could have been true. But there's a way that you do and say everything and you don't intimidate people. You know, he was not nice to us. And I had my own experience where I was talked about on tape.
What?
Yeah, at ELI, and somebody put the tape in my mailbox. And so I got to hear a little bit of everything. And this, at the time, we were just going through with the sale from Clear Channel.
Okay.
And I had to sit with Glenn. So my experience is that he's mean. That's what I'm going to say about that. So
that's the moral of that story, folks.
Yeah. So, you know, all of that other stuff about, you know, oh, he's a racist. I think he's a racist for the money. I don't think Rush Limbaugh was a racist for the money, but anything's possible. Yeah. Because if he's having Elton John play at his wedding, there's only so much, you know, racism, sexism, gender bias involved. But I can witness, you know, and Glenn Beck says, oh, I was an alcoholic during those days, so I'm clean. So that's my disclaimer with all of this. He's clean now. So he's supposedly a nicer person now.
Oh, but of course.
So again, Rush Limbaugh, I hope that it was all an act. Because if it were not, you have a lot to answer for.
Yeah, well, you know, he's probably already answering, you know, who knows.
That's true.
You know, and it's crazy, you know, it's the sickness is rampant, you know, the coronavirus cases are just soaring again. He says this next wave now is going to be worse.
Yeah. It's we're in for a heck of a winter. You know, and I don't understand, and maybe I need to do a little bit more research on that, but I don't understand why people feel like we're headed down the road of your First Amendment rights being taken away from you because you're being asked to wear a mask in public. And
the commander-in-chief said, we turn in the corner.
He said it tonight at a rally. We're turning the corner on this, folks. Don't be intimidated. Meanwhile, today's total of coronavirus cases reached an all-time high since, unfortunately, my birthday, July 17th. July 17th, we had 76,533 people test positive for the coronavirus. Today, 82,600 new infections since the pandemic began. And the numbers in the Midwest and in the West are growing so quickly that people cannot keep up. The hospitals cannot keep up. The doctors cannot keep up. They're running out of space. So, what part of this did they not understand when Mario Cuomo was saying, this is dangerous and it's going to come to you and you need to be prepared for it? Did they think that this was just a new so-called New York disease?
Yeah, probably. But hey, everybody was saying it was a hoax.
Yeah,
it's all a hoax.
Yeah. Yep.
They were saying, COVID, schmovid.
Yep.
It's a hoax.
You're right.
It's like they said that it was something that was made up, manufactured by the Democrats. And
Right.
Remember all of that?
Yep. And on top of that, they were trying to send it out before the voting started to take place so that people wouldn't go out and vote. Now, I just feel like common sense should tell you somewhere in there that story does not make sense. Doesn't make sense. I mean, what are you thinking when you think like that? And how could you, because you've got a good number of educated people who in the beginning, back in 2016, felt like Trump was the crazy uncle in the corner, so to speak, right?
Right, yeah.
Oh, well, he may say those things, but he's going to bring jobs back. Right. He's going to bring our economy up. And that was one of the things that the president brought up yesterday in his campaign tour. And I am talking about Obama. Mm-hmm. He said they left them with the best economy they could ever have in a 10-year period.
They really did. I mean, Barry O did a good job, man. As far as, with that economic growth and, Trump inherited it.
Yeah.
And well, that's all you needed to do was to ride the wave. The wave was already there. You just jump on, get your surfboard, jump on it, and just ride it out. It's going to keep going.
Well, that's what he's saying about the virus. Just turn the corner. We're gonna ride this thing out, and it's gonna go away.
Yeah.
So don't you worry about it.
Just COVID, in time for Halloween, folks.
Yeah, right. Just in time for Halloween. And as a sidebar, have you seen some of the stuff that people are doing to get candy to the kids?
No.
They're taking PVC pipes, right? And sticking them like at the top of the porch and running it down a rail. So they're going to shoot the candy in there. You put your bag up to it and your candy will fly out through the PVC pipe. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I saw one today, which, it might have been Photoshopped, but somebody had one like from their upstairs window.
Oh, like a crazy straw.
And it goes all the way down to the porch railing, So people are getting creative when it comes to Halloween. But unfortunately, COVID hospitalizations increased over the past week in 38 states. And I believe Connecticut is among them. I don't know about where you are, but I know in Connecticut.
Yeah, well, in Rhode Island, I had heard that one minute I heard we was doing good. Next minute, I don't know. So, things change. Things
so fast.
Like in a day.
Yeah, so fast.
Things rapidly change. So, the whole thing is that we just, people got to start hunkering down and slowing down.
Okay, so Doc, here's my question to you.
Yeah.
If you're going to hoard toilet paper, why aren't you hoarding soap? Just saying. Like when this thing, like March and April.
Yeah.
And May, when we couldn't find toilet paper.
There's plenty of soap, though.
Plenty of soap. And they told you, wash your hands. Not even so much hand sanitizer, but to wash your hands under warm soapy water because that kills germs. So if you ain't got no soap while you wiping your behind, it just does not make any sense to me.
Cancels things out in a way.
Yeah. You can't sit up and tell me, oh, well, I've got toilet paper, but your hands ain't clean. In so many ways, your hands ain't clean. Exactly. Listen, I ain't shaking nobody's hand ever again. I'm just not. Handshaking is over. Elbow bump.
You got all of that. You got like not only the COVID now, you get like, ass hand.
That's nasty, Doc.
Hey, you brought the thought. It was a nasty thought to begin with, man. Jeez.
But I mean, think about it. Think about it. That was always, and I used to say that to my daughter all the time. It's like, I don't understand. I can find soap any day of the week, anywhere.
Right.
But toilet paper was just about obsolete. And certain things are still obsolete. My mother uses a certain type of dish detergent. I have not seen it since March. I've not seen it. Just different things, as you know. And as we all know. But it's just amazing to me that people really see this as a threat to their First Amendment right without looking at it as a public health issue. And part of that is leadership, because our leadership, except for the United Tri-State Republic, has not stepped up and said, we are in the midst of a public health crisis. You must wear a mask if you want your children to go back to school, if you want to be able to shop,
right?
If you want to be able to go to the movies, you have to wear a mask. It's that simple. Michelle, feels like I need to be worried when I see the National Guard blocking off my street. That's when I need to be worried. But if all you're saying to me is put on a mask, it will save your life. That's not difficult.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? It's not
difficult. And speaking of, when I told my mom I was doing the show and that the collective was going to be about positive things, she said, good. We've got enough negativity. Should be about some positive things. Unfortunately, the next two stories, because they are happening in this particular week and they are current, are really tough. We've been dealing with some tough stuff this year. And it's not to say that being Black in America, we don't deal with tough stuff all the time, because there's always a tough national issue.
Right.
And there's always something that we are up against, even if it is, because, now I'm beginning to hear from different people, if Black lives matter, and this is from Black people, if Black lives matter, then we need to stop shooting ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I agree with that 100%.
So it's not to say that we are not aware of these things. It's just that
we have the internal thing to deal with, but that's just one piece of a much bigger problem. Because everybody hate us so much to the point where we hate ourselves, and there you have it.
Yeah, because we have got, and I think we are getting to the point. I hear a lot of young men talking about going to therapy.
Yeah.
And kind of settling their issues there. So I think we're going to see that more and more. I think you're going to see more Black men try to resolve issues with the mothers of their children.
Right.
I think that you're going to see the involvement that we thought we had in the 70s, in the late 60s, when it came to the Black family and, taking care of one another and taking care of the community. I know we're moving back in that direction. Yeah. You can see it. But there's still different things like anything else, we have to deal with as a community. And we need to have that talk with each other, get in that room, lock the door, slug it out, and leave it there, know? So one of the things this week that we're kind of wrapping up the show with is Breonna Taylor. And in this particular instance, I don't know if folks remember that earlier in the month, the two of the jurors that sat on the grand jury for this case decided once it was over that they were going to sue because they felt like they needed to express what really happened on the grand jury. And they are saying that the Attorney General, Daniel Cameron, has not told the truth about what he shared with them and answering their questions in regard to what happened with this case.
Wow.
And the judge a few days ago, because usually, as all of us know from watching Law and Order, grand juries are hush hush, right?
Yeah.
You don't get to talk about it. You don't know who's on it. You don't know why they've been called there, all of that. But these two jurors were given permission by the judge in the case to speak on the case. And that's big. That's huge. And he says they were free to speak about what happened in the courtroom. And those two jurors are saying that the Attorney General, Daniel Cameron, is not being honest in his public statement about what was discussed with the grand jury as far as charges.
Yeah.
Two of them say they did not have homicide offenses explained to them, nor self-defense or justification. So those were three things that this Attorney General left out in talking about what charges could have been levied against the police.
That's something. That's and you got like a whole system
right
involved with covering that whole thing up,
Yeah.
It's like, we've been covering a lot. We still got more to cover, but we got bills to pay again.
We'll pay the bills, and we've got one other story.
Yeah. We'll come back,
We're going to come back.
For more of The Collective. This is a special edition as we're kicking this off. So
that current, baby.
Yeah, baby. So stick around, and stay. More's on the way. Hey! SM Enlightenment Radio, baby. Yeah.
Positivity is everything.
No doubt. Stick around. Yeah. WSME. SM Enlightenment Radio. It is The Collective, ladies and gentlemen. Michelle Turner is in the house. What's going on, News Girl?
Hey,
News Girl
Doc
Shelly
P.
Shell.
Hey, Doc P. What's up?
News Girl Shelly Shell raising hell.
One and only, baby.
Yeah, doing it.
One and only. Oh, yeah, for sure. It's so good to be here. I just say that, I'm very proud of you guys for the work that you're doing. And I'm honored to be a part of and to be thought of to be somebody who could participate in what you and Steve are doing. So not only am I proud of you guys, I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're honored to have you, no doubt.
Thank you.
No doubt.
You.
I mean, you make us better.
Thank you.
Make us better, So
we as family.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe that whole family thing that we got can rub off on the rest of the country.
Maybe, because it has been, I don't think anybody can testify to a year like this in the past 10 years.
Been a hell of a year.
It has been a heck of a year, and like I said before, somebody said, "Oh, I'm just waiting for this year to be over." I'm like, I'm not rushing it. Not rushing this year because this is 2020. Yeah. We got 9 more years to go, baby. This ain't pretty. This is not pretty.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So we need to be kind to one another. Be kind to one another. Be thoughtful. Be positive. Because positivity is everything.
That's right. And, it's crazy when you look out here because it seems as though, history is like repeating itself. They said when the cats say that they wanted to make America great again, like I say in an unreleased piece of art, make America great again, make America hate again, bring back the murder, rape, and enslavement. Because that's what it is. It's like, turning back the hands of time, going backwards,
Yeah, instead of moving forward. Because, my joke over the past few years has always been, where's my flying car? Remember that commercial?
Yeah.
Where's my flying car? We're in the 21st century. And it just seems like, and I believe, Doc, and this is my opinion, and I technically should not be giving an opinion, but I just think that when we, as a society, the United States has dropped history from its high school courses, civics, because people don't understand how important it is to vote. They don't know what their vote gets them. They don't understand what that means. And to understand the history, and then when you have something that has happened, like a George Floyd, and people are very upset about it.
Yeah.
And you can't figure out why. It's because it's been left out of the history. And then when I have had my former interns all reach out to me, because in their lives, I was the only Black adult they had ever dealt with. Black person, period. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And so when this happened, they were like, well, can you tell me where I should go to find this stuff out? So, I made references and I told them about books. And a friend of mine said, yeah, let them find out on their own. I said, well, see, here's the thing with that. They're coming to me because they're honest in their feeling. And I'm the only Black person they can reach out to that's not going to scorn them.
Yeah, well, they feel comfortable with.
Yeah. So, but that's the issue. A lot of stuff has been left out.
And that's better than just ignorance because they don't want to approach. Yeah.
Right. So when you start to think about things like Tulsa, which we're going to talk about, how many communities have been burned down? How many communities have been torched, bodies thrown into mass graves that we don't know about? We know about Tulsa. We know about Rosewood in Florida. We know about Wilmington. But that's it. I'm sure there were more. And 150 to 300 people lost their life, I believe, over a 2-day period when it came to Tulsa. White mobs were very upset because this was 1921. The country was beginning to sort of kind of feel the pinch, not fully of depression, but definitely some downturns after World War I, which affected the economy. And African Americans in Tulsa were doing very well. They had their own stores, they patronized each other, and they really were making a good living. And so, for some reason, I'm not sure what, the whites went into the Greenwood district of Tulsa, which was where all the black businesses were, and proceeded to drag the owners out in the streets, break out windows, arrest folks, as you can see in this picture, who were trying to protect their businesses. Some people were trying to protect their families. And I believe it was Monday that researchers in Tulsa found 11 coffins after 4 days of digging in the city-owned Oak Lawn Cemetery. Historians and researchers believe this is where the mass graves are from the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. The area they're digging in is known as the original 18 site, bringing the total discovered to 12. The dig got underway on Monday. Historians say 99 years ago, white mobs targeted the Greenwood district, killing 150 to 300 black residents. And that story is courtesy of NPR. So yeah, that's a heck of a thing for a Friday night, right? That's not how I wanted to wrap up the show. But I thought it was very important because, again, it is history. And we need to know our history because that's the only way in times like this that we will pull together as a country. And believe you me, for a long time, I didn't see myself as an American.
Right.
You know, and it takes you to go out of the country for somebody to say, oh, you're an American. And you're like, what? But you have to realize that that's what you are. And so many of your ancestors fought for you to be that. You know, this is the dream. You know, we're our ancestors' wildest dream. You know, we read, we have a free education. You know,
well,
go to work.
Well, that's the thing that we, you know, as horrible as things are, you know, there's still, you know, we still have a blessing that we're wrapped up in, you know, that can enable us to change the conditions that we have.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we have a better shot at changing our conditions than our ancestors had.
Very true.
You know?
Very true.
So it's really a matter of uniting, you know, and not just falling for all of these things that are just out here to divide us, you know?
And not only that, but to teach your youngins not to hate and not to be divisive and listen to somebody else's opinion.
Yeah.
You know, so you can have an idea of where they're coming from. You have to learn to disagree, you know, agree to disagree, basically.
Yeah,
you have to learn to,
exactly.
You know, keep it moving.
Yeah, absolutely. So
life is too short, man. As 45 says, round in that corner. Round in that corner. We're gonna get over this. But we need
coming around the corner when she comes, huh?
That's a song.
Something like that. A corner or a mountain. I heard that.
A mountain. She'll be coming.
That's what he's talking about. I think
that's what he's talking about. You know,
he's trying to, you know, appeal to his base. coming around the mountain.
When she comes, there'll be 6 wild horses when she comes.
We'll be coming around the mountain. We'll be coming around the COVID.
Although Parliament Funkadelic has a better version of that song.
Yeah.
Just saying. But I don't want people to think that we're joking about COVID, because that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is, unfortunately, we have somebody in leadership who really does not believe that this thing is as serious as it is. It is apparent that he has not really stepped up as a leader and brought us any kind of direction to go in. The seniors don't have a direction to go in when it comes to what they should do, in preparing themselves to go outside. I mean, the biggest thing that you see when you talk to senior citizens who he's trying to appeal to this weekend is that guidelines tell them just to stay home.
Yeah.
Don't even come out.
And you listen to this guy, you're going to be like done.
And I just think that if we had somebody who, even if you didn't agree, in public, be a unified front.
Yeah.
Go with the experts. If Dr. Fauci is saying, listen, you need to stay in the house and we need to have a national mandate on masks, I'm listening to Dr. Fauci.
Yeah.
There's no reason for you to fight with Dr. Fauci in public because he's an expert. I mean, my goodness, this is the man who fought AIDS. So,
yeah. And he said, so what? Your man was there calling him an idiot.
Not only did he call him an idiot, he said, he gets on TV and he says one thing, and then when we're together, it's another. I don't have anything against him. Well, sir, this is not about you, and it's not personal. This is about saving the country's health. This is about a public health crisis. And I am not so sure that people fully understand that, So I hope, I sincerely hope that people find where they need to vote, go to vote.org, figure out where you are going to vote. My ballot came today and I will be dropping it off Monday. I'm going to put it in the hands of a registrar at the Hall of Records. I am not dropping it in a box. I am not wearing socks. I'm going to take it upstairs at the Hall of Records in New Haven, 200 Orange Street. I don't know what floor, but the security guard in there will let you know. And I'm voting.
Yeah, because you know what? You elect a clown, you expect a circus. And we got the circus.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, not to be politically biased here. But come on, common sense is common sense, folks.
Yeah. And leadership is leadership.
Yeah.
There's no two ways around it.
Yeah.
I think if we had a true leader in all of this, it would have been no bias, huh, Doc?
Yeah, no bias at all, but Barry was a good leader. I'm just saying.
If we had a true leader, then I don't think things would be the way that they are right now. I really think that by now school would be in. We could proceed with our phase 3 of opening restaurants and people sitting inside restaurants. But, I think that people have got to get it out of their heads that this is not about taking away your First Amendment rights. And you don't have a leader that stands up and says that. You don't. You know, so I will be staying in the Tri-State Republic, where Andrew Cuomo is our leader, and Governor Murphy, I believe it is, and Governor Lamont are his executive assistants. And they give us the information that we need. And as much as I would love to travel, because I'm somebody who travels, I am home on a Friday night.
Hey, man.
This has been Current, a special edition of The Collective.
That's right.
We got so many things coming up for you all on The Collective. I'm hoping that you'll tune in every Sunday at 6 and you'll love us. I have Abdur Rahman Muhammad from Who Killed Malcolm X, who's kind of embroiled in a little controversy right now. And he doesn't really want to talk about it, but at some point, I'm going to try to get him to talk about it. Not this time, because we're going to talk about kind of the before and the after, because they got nominated for an Emmy.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got nominated for an Emmy. My dear classmate, Sybil.
Yeah.
She's going to come in. And I got my friend and my sorority sister, Erica Bradley, to come on and talk about some financial fitness. Excuse me. So we've got a lot of different things for you on The Collective. Don't hesitate to tell your friends about WSME because they got the best music, man.
That's right.
Stevie and Doc are rocking this thing, and you are sleeping if you miss it.
Hey, we call it Feel Good Radio at its finest.
Absolutely.
You know, you got to check us out. WSME, SM Enlightenment Radio, SMEnlightenmentmedia.com. Also, you can catch us on the Simple Radio app. Just search SM Enlightenment Radio.
Can you see it?
Yeah, there it is. WSME. Sister Michelle.
Thank you, Doc, for hanging in and pitching in.
Yeah,
appreciate you.
We had some fun.
We had some fun.
You know, so hey, we'll be sure to tune into you next week for another edition of The Collective right here on WSME SM Enlightenment Radio. Have a good night, folks.
Good night. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Appreciate it.
Peace.